Okay, question 2. List these numbers in order, starting with the smallest. Show your working. So we need to show our working. Starts with the first number, 4.7 squared. And 4.7 squared is, using your calculator, since this is a calculator paper, 4.7 squared would give us 22.09. Square root of 52 is square root of 52 is equal to 7.21 to 2 decimal places. 9.4 is just 9.4. There's no calculation involved. And the cube root of 125, well, what number times by itself 3 times is 125, is 5. Now you start ordering them. The smallest number is this. Then you have this one here. Then it's 9.4. And the last number is 22.09. Now you start writing it the way the question is asking us to do. So the smallest one is 120 cube root 125, then root 52, then 9.4, then 4.7 squared. Okay, quick look at the mark scheme. There's 3 marks involved. First mark is for working out 4.7 squared. Now it says approximately, but we have a calculator in hand, so we don't really need to do it approximately. Root 52 is 7.2, and your last one is your accuracy mark, which is writing them in order. So there's 3 marks. Question 3a is asking us to estimate 23.7 minus root 64.25 times 4.76. Now before you move on, just take a look at the question and think a few steps ahead on what you're going to do. First is estimate. So in your head straight away it needs to be rounded to one significant figure. But looking at this 64, would it be wise to square root that to the one significant figure, which is square root 60? Not really, because this is very close to square root 64, which is a square number, and you can square root 64. Okay, so starting off with 3a, I'm going to rewrite the question just to help us out. It's a good method to rewrite the question so you can see what you're doing, but the thing is, you need to make sure you copy out the question exactly so you don't make mistakes or lose marks. And 23.7 to one significant figure is 20, and you're subtracting, well, 64.25 is close to square root 64, which is a square number, and 4.76 to one significant figure is just 5, and that is 20 subtract 8 times by 5, which equals, got my equal sign, which is equal to 12 times 5, which is equal to 60. So this here is approximately 60. Use a calculator to work out the answer. Give your answer to correct one decimal place. So 3b, using your calculator, 23.7 subtract square root of 64.25 times by 4.76 is 74.65 76 9749 974903. Notice I've written everything I see in my calculator. Now I'm going to round to one decimal place. So it's 74.7 to one decimal place. Okay, quick look at the mark scheme. Now the mark scheme says 80 here for 3a. That's because they've used, what they've done is rounded 23.7 to the nearest whole number, whereas we've done it to 20. You wouldn't lose marks if you did that because estimation is to one significant figure. Okay, question 4, write 24 as a product of its prime factors in index form. 24 very quickly is just going to be 2 times 12, circle your prime, 3 times 2, circle your prime. So 24 is equal to 2 times 2 times 3. Ooh, I think I made a mistake somewhere. That doesn't look right. With me. 3 times 2 isn't 12. 3 times 4 is 12. Circle your prime. 2 and 2. So 24 is equal to 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. We've got 4 factors here, 4 prime factors, and we've got 4 prime factors in our factor tree. Just a quick check to see if it is 24. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24, so that's right. And as an index form, it's going to be 2 cubed times by 3. Now, use your answer to write 48 cubed as a product of its prime factors in index form. Now, one of us did this really interestingly. I mean, I was very, I would say, proud to see their method of working out. What they did was this. They started to write down 48 as a product of prime factors. So they started with the prime factor tree. 48 is 2 times 24. Circle the prime. Now 24, we've already got the prime factor tree for 24. If you want to, you can still work it out. So I'm still going to write it here. And 48 is equal to 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3, which is 2 to the power of 4 times by 3. Pen is a bit too thick, I'm just going to reduce its size. Then they said to themselves, well, we're not doing the product of prime factors of 48, we're doing the product of prime factors of 48 cubed. Now we know 48 is 2 to the power of 4 times 3, so they substituted 48 as 2 to the power of 4 times 3. Now we're cubing this. And the only step they've missed out was, so they got to this stage, the only step they missed out was, we don't want the brackets in there. It doesn't look nice as a product. I've never seen products of prime factors with brackets. So they expanded the brackets, but made a silly, well, they forgot to expand the brackets. They didn't make a silly mistake, they forgot to expand the brackets. Now expanding brackets, you know that we need to multiply the powers. So 2 to the power of 4 cubed is going to be 2 to the power of 12. 4 times 3 is 12. And this 3, you know it's going to be 3 to the power of 1. We don't need to write that. So it's 3 to the power of 1 cubed is, well, 1 times 3 is 3. And the only mistake they've made was they forgot to count the 2's correctly. So they wrote down 48 as 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. So one of their 2's was missing, and the power of this 2 to the power of 12 was wrong as well. So one person forgot to expand the brackets, and another person forgot 1, 2 in the factor tree. Now there's another method we could use. Now since 4a and 4b are related, and looking at 48 and 24, you can see there's a relationship between them two. 2 lots of 24 is 48. So then we could write down that 48 is 2 times 24. Now we know 24 as a product of its prime factors is 2 cubed times 3. So this 2 is going to stay the same, times by 2 cubed times 3, which is 2 to the power of 4 times 3. Now again, we use the same method. We're not doing the product of prime factors of 48, we're doing it 48 to the power of 3. So we have to cube this as well, since we cubed the left-hand side of the equation. So 2 to the power of 4 times by 3 cubed. And again, same method, expanding the brackets. Well, we're trying to get rid of the brackets. The powers, we multiply. 4 times 3 is 12. And 3 to the power of 3 is just 3 to the power of 3. And that's question 4. Question 4, you would get, 4a, you would get 1 mark just for the power. It needs to be accurate, no method marks. And for B, so they used the same method, so they knew that is 2 times 24, and this is the product of prime product of 24, and they've said that 48 is 2 to the power of 4 times 3, so you get method mark there. You need to cube this number to get the last method mark. So if we had to cube this, since we're cubing this, that would give 24 to the power of 12 times 3 to the power of 3. Just very impressed marking your books with this question. It shows that you are using your problem solving skills, and very impressed, yeah. Okay, moving on. Question 5. Work out the highest common factor and the lowest common multiple of 48 and 72. Okay, so you know that we need to, or we know that we need to write them as a product of its prime factors. So let's start with the factor tree. That's going to be 2 times 24. Circle your prime. Again, this 24 seems to be appearing. 12 times 2, circle your prime. 3 times 4, circle your primes. So 48 is equal to, as a product of its prime factors, 2 times 2. Oh, I keep making a mistake. Why do I keep thinking 4 is a prime number? 4 is not a prime number. It's 2 times 2. So 48 is equal to 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. Just quickly checking, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 prime products. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 prime products. So I'm 90% sure that what I've written here is right. Just checking the number of 2's. 1, 2, 3, 4 2's. 1, 2, 3, 4 2's, and 1, 3. Good. Now for 72, as a product of prime factors, it's 36 and 2, 3 and 12, 4 and 3. I'm not going to make the same mistake again. Ooh, I almost forgot to circle the 3. And 2 and 2. Okay, so 72 as a product of its prime factors is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. Just quick count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 3 2's written here, 3 2's here, and 2 3's. 2 3's. Good. So we need to find the highest common factor, lowest common multiple. So far, this is just part of our working out. I'm going to rewrite 48. Ooh, what's that can do? I'm going to rewrite 48 and rewrite 72, because now we need to write down or draw our Venn diagram. So our Venn diagram, wow, don't want it in red, I want it in white. Huh? Okay, it's not working. Draw a Venn diagram. This does not look neat. It needs to look neat. So here's our Venn, and 2 circles is a really bad circle. And this circle represents 48, this circle represents 72. Now, what do we have in common? We got 1, 2, 3 2's in common, and 1, 3 in common. So right in the middle, what we got in common? So 2, 2, 2, 3. 1, 2, 2, 2, 3. What have you got left for 48? We've got 1 left, 1, 2 left for 48, and 73 we got 1, 3 left for 70. Sorry, 72. We got 1, 3 left for 72. The highest common factor is the product of the intersection. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 3, and that is 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8 times 3 is 24, and the lowest common multiple is the product of every number there. So it's going to be 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. And 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8 times 2 is 16, times by 3 is 16 times by 3. Let's work this out. 18, 48, and 48 times by 3, I think it is 144. 3 times 8 is 4, carry the 2. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 2 is 144. So the lowest common multiple is 144. And we're done. Quick look at the mark scheme. So, we would get one method for the prime factors. Circles drawn and numbers attempted to be placed in circles, so you need to circle your prime factors. You get one accuracy mark for the highest common factor and one accuracy mark for the lowest common multiple. So your method mark you would only get one mark for, so you need to make sure you're accurate at multiplying. Question 6. Find the value of x. Finding the value of x, so we're multiplying with the same base, so we need to add the powers. So 2 plus something is 6. We can write it as an equation. 2 plus something is 6. By inspection, that's just x is just going to be 4. So rewrite it, x is 4. Now we're dividing the same bases, so we're going to subtract the powers. So something minus minus 4 is 9. So x minus minus 4 is 9. Signs are the same signs make a plus. So x plus 4 is 9. And this x by inspection is just 5. So x is equal to 5. Again, we've got the same bases, we're multiplying, so we need to add the powers here. So x plus x is equal to 8. So what number plus by itself? Sum of two numbers that are the same gives us 8, and that's just 4. So x is equal to 4. The only problem I saw when I was marking your books, everyone was confident with A and C. The only problem was B. Some of us wrote down 13. Can you see why that's not 13 now? Because look, two minuses make a plus. So we're not adding minus 4. Watch out for the signs when we divide bases. Okay, question 6, mark scheme. Just quick look at the mark scheme. Again, it's just accuracy marks. We won't get any method marks, so make sure you're accurate. So check your work. They're just worth 1 mark each. They're not going to give any method marks for that, so you need to watch out. Question 7, write 8 cubed to the power of 6 to a single power. Fairly simple. Remember, brackets, you multiply the powers. 3 times 6 is 18. So that's just going to be 8 to the power of 18. Again, one mark, just an accuracy mark. So if you write 8 cubed times 6, or 3 times 6 is 24, even though your method is right, you're multiplying, 3 times 6 isn't 24, it's 18. Question 8. Use prime factors to determine whether 2080 is divisible by 16. Now remember, if it's divisible by 16, that means 16 is a factor of 2080. It's telling us to use prime factors. This is worth 2 marks. So let's start by working out its factor tree. Something really easy. So 208 times by 10 is 2080. 10 is 2 and 5. Prime, circle them. 208 is 104 times 2. And 104 is 52 times 2. And 56 is 26 times 2. I'm going to write 26 times 2 this way because we don't have any space to go down. 26 is 2 and 13 times 2. Before we go on, I know some of you wrote down that 2080 is just 130 times by 16. So 130 times by 16. It shows that you've got the knowledge, but we need to use the prime factors to determine whether it is divisible by 16. So going back to factor tree, 2080 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 5 times 13. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 5 times 13. Just quick check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 90% sure that this is the right calculation. How many 2's do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 1, 5 and 1, 13. Good. Okay, so all of these are a factor of 2080. Of course, 2 is a factor, 5 is a factor, 13 is a factor. And a combination of their product is also a factor of 2080. Since 208 is a factor, 10 is a factor, 104 is a factor, 52 is a factor, 26 is also a factor. Now, is 16 a factor? Well, let's see. Can we make 16 with any of these? Well, yes. 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8 times 2 is 16. So all of this is 16, and we're multiplying it by 2 times 5 times 13. So 16 is a factor. And 2 times 5 times 13, well, 2 times 5 is 10. 10 times 13 is 130 as well. And so 130 is a factor. 10 is a factor. 65 is also a factor. But we were looking for 16. And since 16 is a factor, so we need to finish off. Since 16 is a factor, of 2080, 2080 is divisible by 16. Forgive the handwriting, it's really hard writing on this pad. Sketchpad, sorry. It's yeah, the dots need to make sure it's good, and the handwriting is really bad on this. So, going back to the question. Yep, so we're done. We gave a comment at the end. We've shown our working out. We've used the factor tree. And all of this, I know you're thinking, for 2 marks. Yes, 2 marks could be the difference between a level 7 and level 8, or any level, really. Quick look at the mark scheme. Question 8. So we need to show that 16 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 This is one accuracy mark. There is no method marks. And then there needs to be a conclusion. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 130, and a conclusion that yes, 16 times 130 is 2018. I know some of you have written this, but we need to show that through the factor trees. Okay, question 9, write each of these in standard form. I saw no problems with this. The only problem was question 9b, and we're going to reach that to make sure we understand what this really means. I think it was just the million that puts some of you off. Okay, so 4.7. Decimal point needs to be here to make it a standard form. So we got 4.7 and multiply by 10 to the power of something. Now you know that this is a small number, so it needs to be in minus power. And how many times has our decimal jumped? Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6, 7, 8. So it's going to be 4.7 times 10 to the power of 8. 0.6 million. Now, 0.6 million, 1.6 million is 1,600,000. So 0.6 million is just going to be 600,000. Now this is standard form. Since there's no decimals here, put our decimal at the end of the figure. Our decimal needs to be over here to make it standard form. So it's going to be 6 times 10 to the power of, well, the power is going to be positive because this is bigger than 1. How many times does our decimal point needs to jump? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 6 times 10 to the power of 5. Okay. If you would like more practice, I will give a question right here. So question D, I want you to write each of the numbers in standard form, and I want you to write 1.7 thousand in standard form. Pause the video now. Okay, now 1.7 thousand would be 1,700, and this as standard form, decimal point needs to be here, so it's going to be 1.7 times, well, how many times would it need to jump? 1, 2, 3, so it's going to be 1.7 times 10 to the power of 3. Okay, back to question 9c. Again, I saw no problems here. There was only a few of us who mistook or made a silly error. Looking at this, this isn't standard form. It's not between 1 and 10. If the decimal point was here, that would be standard form. So it's going to be 5.1 times, well, 5.1 times 10 to the power of what gives us 510. It's going to be 5.1 times 10 to the power of 2. And the above is still going to be 10 to the power of 8. So this would simplify to 5.1 times 10 to the power of 10. Bases are the same at the powers since we're multiplying. Okay, mark scheme, we need to be accurate. No method marks. Every question you did for question 9a, there would be no method marks, just accuracy marks. 3 questions, 3 parts, 3 marks, a mark each. Question 10. Okay, the negative, what does the negative do to a fraction? It flips it, and we still got a squared, and that's just going to be 25 over 49. If you want a bit more practice, 3 over 10 to the power of minus 3. Try writing that as a fraction in its simplest form. Pause the video now. Okay, so the minus, you know, it's going to flip the fraction, and we're still cubing. 10 cubed is 1,000, and 3 cubed is 27, and we can't simplify this any further. Okay, mark scheme, again, you get 2 marks just for your accuracy, no method mark. Question 11, work out the area of this shape. Write your answer as a surd in its simplest form. This is 3 marks. My guess, 1 mark for your method, 2 marks for accuracy. Okay, working out area, remember length times width, so we got the square root of 28 multiplied by the square root of 70. Now, root A times root B is root A times B. And looking at this, we know that we need to simplify them first before we go on, because it will make life much easier. And starting with the first square root 28 is square root 4 times by 7, which is root 4 times by root 7, which is 2 root 7. So we know that this here is just 2 root 7. And square root 70, I can't think of a square number that would fit into 70, so just root 70. Now, back to our calculation. So we have to do root 28 times root 70, so we need to multiply these two. So root 7 times root 70, and that's just going to be root 2 root 7 times 70. So remember, we need to multiply these square roots, and that's root, well, 7 times 7 is 49, 7 times 70 is going to be 490. Can we simplify this? Of course we can. It's 49 times 10, and this simplifies to 2 root 49 times root 10, which is 2 times 7 times root 10, and 2 times 7 is 14 root 10. So our final answer is 14 root 10. There is no units here, so just we could leave it as that, but it's not going to be nice. So write down area is equal to 14 root 10. Look at the mark scheme. Yep, so the one accuracy mark for multiplying the length and width. 1 method mark for simplifying the surds. Now they've simplified it in this case. 2 root 7 is root 28, and what they've done was 2 times root 5 times root 7 is 70, so 2 times 5 is 10 times 7 is 70. So this here is this, and this here is this, and we know that root 7 times root 7 is just 7. If you want to use this method, 2 times 7 is 14. Then we're only left with root 2 times root 5. We can't simplify that, so they just left it as root 10. So this would also give 14 root 10. This is another method. 1 accuracy mark for 14 root 10 square units. So we need to write square units. And that would be that. Just going back to the mark scheme again, if you wrote down the answer and it's accurate without any marking, or without any working, you would get all 3 marks. However, what if you didn't show your working? You would lose. If you didn't show your working and you got the answer, final answer wrong, and you just wrote down something like 14 root 5, because you did this in your head. I know some of you try to do this in your head. 14 root 5 is not the right answer. You would lose this 1 mark for your method. And it's a shame, really. So make sure, no matter what, you show your working. Question 12, rationalize the denominator. We'll can do this right now very quickly to rationalize the denominator. Look at the denominator and times it by root 10 over root 10. And that gives us 12 root 10 over, well, root 10 times root 10 is just 10. You would get 1 mark out of the 2 if you leave it as this. Now one person wrote down, a few people wrote down 1.2 root 10. Now even though this is correct, we don't like to use a decimal in front of a third. So it would be nice to just make sure you simplify this fraction. So the biggest number that goes into 12 and 10 is 2, so it's 12 divided by 2 is 6. Third stays the same. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So this would give you your final marks.